Sonic Frontiers speedruns have exploded in the week since its release. Seeing the any percent speedrun lower from around 3 hours to under 2 very quickly and continuing to go even lower. But there was one area of the run that was a thorn in the side of every good pace and stunted the growth of any percent tremendously. This daunting, run-killing, impossible segment was so terrible the community was practically begging for a skip to be found. And that segment was... Alright, well, pinball from the base level probably doesn't sound like it would be that bad. If you haven't played Sonic Frontiers, I'll go through what you have to do. After going through the entirety of Chaos Island, collecting all available emeralds, going through all of Tails' story progression, and exploring the island. After all of this, before you can access the Titan fight and the final emerald, you have to go through Pinball. Pinball has a massive point requirement. This basically gates finishing the minigame until you have a big enough score multiplier. Score multiplier will jump up to the next number every time you collect a red ring, until eventually you will get the score requirement very fast. Sounds simple, right? There are a lot of reasons pinball will frequently not go to plan. First, this pit of doom. Dude, gutter again? No! Okay, I think I actually might have to reset.
I quit, dude. What do I do?
When the ball goes around to these bumpers, inevitably, there's a chance that the ball can get a bad bounce and there is little to no control over this. When you lose a ball, the score multiplier resets, so you could lose potentially more than a minute of progress in the minigame. Second, there are a plethora of red ring locations that are super hard to get to. This one is even more annoying because you either need to get a super precise hit off the bumper, or chance the pit of doom area to get knocked into the right location. Lastly, it was found that the amount of lives you have left actually affects the speed of red ring spawns. With 2 lives remaining, the red rings will spawn every 15 seconds, 1 life will be every 10, and with no lives remaining, it's every 5 seconds. This led to runners death stratting to get through this segment as fast as possible, even if it was way more risky.
It is, but what are you gonna do when this shit happens?
Runners at the top level vying for world record would lose time or completely lose about 1/3 or even half of all attempts to pinball. As a segment that's about an hour into the run, this was infuriating. The entire community set their sights on trying to find a skip. There were many theories going around of what could be done to skip pinball. The first 2 islands were skipped by getting into the boss arena earlier than intended and using a debug trigger to spawn the boss in. Unfortunately, this boss arena is covered in this fog, and a kill plane. If we try to approach this area, Sonic will not be able to trigger the boss whatsoever. So this theory was out. While it wouldn't skip the pinball minigame itself, many runners wanted to try to find a way into pinball early. This would potentially skip the entire island without having to go through the routing process of all emeralds and story sequences. Days after this theory was discussed, members of the Frontiers speedrunning Discord managed to clip into the cave where you access pinball from. However, the trigger doesn't become active until you progress the story to that point. With the 2 main theories disproven, runners started to get worried that pinball skip was nothing but a dream. Different ideas were taking place, testing being done, but ultimately no progress seemed to be made. Almost a week later, out of nowhere, Kabali posted something that would save Frontiers speedrunning: pinball skip. And it came from a completely unexpected place, something that hadn't yet been utilized for a major skip prior to this. Autosave functions a bit weirdly in Sonic Frontiers, and early on, runners noticed this. There were some theories that it could be utilized for something, however they didn't have a great understanding of how it worked at the time. Some people kept it in mind, and eventually, Kabali started messing around with it to assist in finding pinball skip. One thing that would happen was a lot of random objects and triggers just cause autosave to be used, more than the game would have you believe. Like for example, breaking a box. Even to this day, we don't seem to have a full understanding of how the feature works. Sometimes you will have autosave not trigger for long periods of time, or place you in spots that it shouldn't have. Kabali would use this weirdness to make magic happen. Alright, I'm gonna try to keep the explanation of this skip as simple as possible, but it is a little bit confusing. I'll go step by step through the skip, then explain why it works. Step 1. Break this box here, which triggers an autosave. trigger the Tails story event that enters Pinball. Exit to the main menu from Pinball, then immediately reload the autosave. When the game reloads, it will attempt to replay the cutscene that opens the gate to Pinball. However, because of the autosave, Sonic will be able to move. From this position, the runner must move Sonic in the down lock position until the fade out happens. After the fade out, you will be able to see Sonic again. At this time, you want to control Sonic and face as close to the crater as possible, then jump and boost quickly. The next fade out will occur and the game will load you into Pinball. For consistency, it's a good practice to pause here in the cutscene and then skip, as it will help what's coming up now a lot. You'll load into Pinball, and if done correctly, Sonic will die. You'll get a try again screen to exit Pinball. After this, the runner must jump into the crater and get another try again screen. If all went well, you should still see the fog, but you will also get the story marker to head to the crater. And we'll do just that. After jumping in and skipping the cutscene, Sonic will die one more time, but at this point, it doesn't matter. Pinball skip is complete. So you might be wondering, what just happened? Shout out to GordonRamsay? No, not this guy. Gordon did a deep dive onto why pinball skip works, and it's very interesting. Basically, when you leave pinball, the game assumes you have either completed it or failed. Since Sonic is dying during this sequence, we leave pinball without doing either. The game doesn't move any story blocks or progression, but it does start to check to see if we have cleared the sequence. Since the last key to activate the Titan fight is pinball, and we have already entered it, the game assumes everything is done and starts advancing the story. The first death helps us escape pinball in an unintended way. The second death gets the story progression check going, and the third death just happens because the kill plane isn't out of the way yet, but we still have to hit the trigger. This all allows us to skip clearing the pinball sequence once and for all. While there may be a faster setup for the skip or something else entirely, the matter of its existence is enough for most runners today. Since Pinball Skip's discovery, runners have been able to add more and more difficult strategies that will help push down the world record of any percent even farther than it would have been able to before. One of my favorite things about speedrunners is when they're backed into a tough position, they will always find a way through. Thanks for watching, everyone. For more Sonic Frontiers speedrun content, make sure to follow the channel, as I'll be covering just about everything the game has to offer. See you next time.